The problem is that you say you are Christians. That's what I keep hearing. Nayinza obukristoni sibulaba ndaba ebyambalo byokka naye okutegeera nze ndaba, because if you are Christians you would know that in the book of the Acts of the Apostles, when St. Paul was passing through what they call Asia Minor, there are people there who are talked about in the Bible, but who are no longer there. St. Paul's letter to the Ephesians. Where are the Ephesians? Balagawa. What do your preachers, this one who sing the whole night shouting as if God is deaf? What do they tell you? Abefeso Balagawa. Ataba Galatia. All those people are mentioned in the Bible, but you can't see them on the ground. What happened to them? Just singing, whoa, whoa, whoa. Eh? What happened to them? They disappeared. The only ones who are mentioned in the Bible, and the only ones who are mentioned in the Bible who are still there are the Corinthians, Abakorinso Jewari, Greece, Thessalonica, they are there, because they are in Greece. But the others disappeared. Why? Because new people came from Asia and took over their land. That's what you call Turkey now. What you call Turkey took the land of those pharaohs who are being talked about in the book of the Acts of the Apostles. They disappeared. Now, what is very serious for Africa is that the invasion by Ottoman Turks, when they invaded that area, which is not long ago, because the Ottoman Turks captured Constantinople, what they now call Istanbul, in 1453. This is not long ago. This is just 500, 600 years ago. They blocked the land route by the Europeans to Asia, because you remember in your retro history, which you study here and there was this character called Marco Polo. Marco Polo is the man who walked on foot from Europe to China and back. And he established a land route through which trade was going. So when the Ottoman Turks captured Constantinople, they blocked that route. They blocked it. So the Europeans were no longer getting silk. That's why the Chinese president now is talking of the Silk Road. So the Chinese president is trying to revive that old trade, the Silk Road, which was bringing silk and spices, especially from the East, because at that time the Europeans had no refrigeration. Like all of us, we didn't have refrigeration. Refrigeration yafe kwali kukala enyama. Would make a mukaro. You roast it and it can stay for long. Now the Europeans were using spices to preserve food in winter. Now this was blocked. That's how the Europeans now started looking for another way to go to China without going through Istanbul, what they call Istanbul now. remember, this was 1453. That's when the Ottoman Turks captured that place. And led by the Portuguese, they started looking for another route to the east. There was a man called Prince Henry, the navigator of Portugal. He's the one who started looking for ships. Because at that time they didn't even have the ships, which could go far. So they started looking for how to build new ships, which could go a long distance in the water, looking for better sails, because at that time people were just using sails. They had no engine. Now, by 1470, you see, 1453, the Ottoman Turks capture Constantinople, but by 1470 something, the Portuguese were already in Sierra Leone. That's what they call it, Sierra Leone. That's Portuguese. Sierra is mountain, the mountain which looks like a lion. Sierra Leone. Then by 1482, a Portuguese man called Diego Cama got to where Angola is now. And by 1487, that's when another Portuguese called Bartholomew Diaz got to the Cape of Good Hope. This is South Africa now. He didn't go round, but he's the one who called that mountain there, because he saw the coast was now going east. Because the problem was Africa. Africa was so long. I think Africa is 33 degrees north, 36 degrees north, maybe 34 degrees south. To go Africa, you go. Have you heard of such things like latitudes? There are things like that. I don't know whether you know that. So to go across Africa, you have got latitude which are almost 80 degrees of latitude. But Bartholomew Diaz, 1487, saw the coast was appearing to end. The land mass of Africa was appearing to come to an end. Then 1497, another Portuguese man called Vasco da Gama comes now, following what Bartholomew Diaz had done, and goes beyond South Africa. He's blown by the wind far to the south. But when the wind stops, he comes, and on Christmas Day, 1498, lands at a place called Natal. That's why he calls it Natal. Natal in Latin means to be born, natalis. So he landed there on Christmas Day, 1498. Now, that's where my problem with you Pharaohs starts. With the Africans. Okay. Mwali wano mutamanya bwamwe, with your chiefs putting on monkey skins and running around. Fine, because you had no threat, you had no problem. With a lot of water, with a lot of things for primitive life, you could live thinking that you are living well, but because you had no pressure, you can go naked here. There's no problem. You can go in the